Hey friends, welcome back to Ball Homestead. Today we're going to make what I like to call a homestead meal. Everything is going to come from the homestead. Most of the ingredients, some are store-bought like your flour and stuff like that, but a lot of the ingredients in these recipes came from our homestead. First, we're going to get started on some scalloped potatoes. These potatoes we grew this spring, and I've already got them washed, and we're going to get them going in the oven because they're going to take the longest. Alright friends, we're just going to continue to slice up our potatoes here and get them in our pan. We grow potatoes every spring here on the homestead, and we love homegrown new potatoes. There is nothing better than a new potato. Just going to get all those sliced up, and then we'll get to going on our mix for these potatoes. Alright, we're going to mix together some milk, some Parmesan cheese, and we're going to season it too. And we're going to use some of this cheese we made the other day that's kind of like Velveeta, just to use some of that up. Some milk, then we're going to cut up about half of one of these pieces to go in this. Just going to break it up. It's pretty soft, so okay. Hands washed real quick. We are going to mix this up, and then we're going to cut some butter up on top and get that in the oven. I've got the oven preheating here. Let me get a spoon. Alright, we're just going to get this poured over our potatoes. Get that bowl out of the way there, and I think we're going to add a little bit more milk. I wanted enough milk on these potatoes to kind of cover them so that they would cook good. And I will post all these recipes in the comments. I just kind of wing it with, I just look at a recipe and then go from there. Next, I'm going to cut up some butter on top of these potatoes. This is just some more of our goat butter, and we just cut that up on top. And then we're going to season them just a little bit with some of our homemade seasoned salt. Alright friends, we're going to get on this Mexican cornbread. For this recipe, I add a cup of cornmeal to my bowl. Next, I'm going to add an equal amount of self-rising flour. So 1 cup of self-rising flour. Next, we're going to add our eggs. And we need 2 eggs. I do add 3 here, but 2 of my eggs are Banny eggs, and they're very small, so I do add 3 of those. Next, we're going to add our home canned corn here. We're going to add a pint of that. And now we're going to add some of our frozen jalapeno peppers. I'll probably just add about a quarter to a half a cup. We love spice, so you can just decide on that yourself. These are just some that I froze up for things like this. Now we're going to add our cheese. We grated up some cheddar cheese. We're going to mix that in, and we're going to add some sugar to this, just about a half a cup, and some milk. We're going to get that all mixed together and get it into our cast iron skillet. Then we're going to bake that in the oven on 375 until it's nice and golden brown. This okra, we just froze this. We didn't wash it or anything. And now we're just going to put it in a sink of cold water and get it cut up. We're going to fry it, and it'll taste just like it came out of the garden. This is probably the simplest thing to preserve, is freezing it. And I always just grab a couple bags because sometimes your okra is a little bit hard. And we're just going to use our same bowl. I just keep rewashing it. And you'll know if your okra's too hard because your knife won't hardly cut through it. Even when it's frozen, it makes a difference. You can tell if it's too tough. Like this one's too tough. My knife won't go through it. So, once we get all of our okra cut up, we're going to add about a half of a cup of flour and a half of a cup of cornmeal, and we're going to mix that in our okra. And we're going to have a skillet over on the stove, getting it hot with some oil. We just want to coat all that okra, so when we put it in our oil, we can get a nice crispy outside. Here we're just getting our okra put in our pan, and we will just watch that while we're cooking our other things. We want our grease to be hot before we add it though. You don't want to put your okra in there and your grease be too cool because it'll kind of make it soggy. Some of the outside, the cornmeal and flour will come off of it. So you want to make sure that it's good and hot, your oil. Now we're going to get our zipper cream peas in the pot and get them cooking. I did get 2 quarts here, one with some extra juice, one with more beans, so that Wayne could take some for his lunch the next couple days. Whenever I cook a big meal like this, I always like to cook extras, and so that he has enough to take for his lunch. It saves me from having to get in the kitchen and fix something for his lunch for a couple days. So this really helps out. For our pumpkin muffins, I used my squash that I canned up last year. I used a whole quart of it. 2 eggs, a cup of sugar, a half of a cup of brown sugar, 2 cups of self-rising flour, 2 eggs, and a teaspoon of allspice and a teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to mix all that together. I thought I was recording a while ago, but I guess I wasn't. And I'm making a huge mess. Smells so good. My family loves these pumpkin muffins. They're so easy and so cheap. I say pumpkin, these are squash muffins, but we use our butternut squash just like pumpkin. We grew a bunch last year and I canned up a ton. Stir this around real quick. Our okra stirred. Okay. Now we can spray a muffin pan. Here I'm just using a cookie scoop and scooping in the muffins into our well-sprayed pan. We definitely want to spray those pans well. I don't use muffin liners, so I always spray my pan really well, and I never have a problem with them coming out. But we're just going to get those in there and get those beautiful little muffins in the oven. These are some of our family favorites. All the kids love them. Even my son Pete, he loves them. He thinks they are amazing. And they're super cheap, super easy to make, especially if you grow butternut squash. All right, while we're waiting, we're going to make up our icing for these pumpkin muffins, or the filling for them, I should say. All it is a block of cream cheese and a half of a stick of butter. We're going to mix that together. I'm just going to use about half of this butter here because that's quite a bit. We're going to start mixing that. As soon as that's mixed together, we're going to add some powdered sugar. All right, now we're going to add our powdered sugar. I'll probably make way too much, but I'll use it for something else and just keep it in the fridge. You may have to add a little bit of milk to this. We're going to do this on very low. We don't want it to throw powdered sugar all over the kitchen. We're just going to let this mix until it's all incorporated. Just a tiny bit though, a little bit will go a long way when you're making icing. Well, that's all we needed. See, it's coming together now. Okay, our icing is finished. And I mean, I might have put a tablespoon of milk in there. Not much. All right, friends, our first pan of pumpkin muffins is done, and we're going to get these on the cooling rack. I just kind of pop them out. They're so easy to do in this pan. They just pop right out. You even take something, just kind of plop them. Move these down. And we're going to let these cool completely before we put any filling in them. I've got the other two pans in, and we're just waiting on the scalloped potatoes to get done. And then we're going to have us a little feast here, friends, all from the Homestead, and that makes me happy. I'm going to ice these pumpkin muffins. All I do, I have this, it's round on the bottom, and I just poke a hole in the center. Kind of twist it around to make sure it's a good hole there. And then we take our icing that we just made. And put it on the top and down in it. It's so delicious. These turned out beautiful too. So we got our scalloped potatoes, our zipper cream peas, our cornbread, and our delicious fried okra. And for dessert, we have our yummy pumpkin muffins. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Please like, share, and subscribe our videos. Until next time, friends. Goodbye.